Do you get hot and sweaty? Do you like it aggressive? The lumbar support, I mean. And do you not want to pay an arm and a leg for a mesh chair? Well, the Hbada P2 may be the chair for you. This thing actually has a ton of features you don't see in mesh chairs at this price point, but there are some quirks that you should definitely know about before picking this up. Let's get honest. Links to everything will be in the description below, as well as tagged in the YouTube shop. Using them costs you nothing, but I earn a small commission, which helps keep this channel going. I appreciate your support. As always, we'll break the chair down starting from the bottom, working our way up. The casters on this chair roll really nicely on carpet, although these are gonna be carpet-only casters, so if you have hard floors, this thing is gonna feel like you're on an ice rink, so something to keep in mind. The legs on this chair, a chair at this price point using metal legs, is actually pretty rare. So these feet are totally made out of metal, but they're completely rounded, which means that for people who like to raise their feet up on the legs, it's not gonna be great because they will just kind of slide right off. But they're not very fat anyway, so even if they weren't rounded, you probably wouldn't get much grip anyway. But you're not gonna be able to get your feet on those casters anyway, at least if you tuck them directly in front of you, because of this right here. Now this is an optional add-on that you can choose when you purchase. This is a footrest, and it pops out of the chair like this. Now the way that it functions is that it just kind of slides right out. There's a little bit of a click that kind of keeps it in place. That's nice because for some chairs that don't have that kind of lock mechanism, if you turn the chair around, sometimes the footrest can just kind of pop out, and then it's gonna slam you in the knees, or shins I mean, or you're gonna have to jump over it like you're playing skip it with your chair, right? So it's nice that it locks in, it doesn't come out super easily. Anyways, this thing does slide out like this, and the way that you roll it out is that you flip over the footrest like this, and unlike the higher end Hbada chairs, this one here on the P2 is using complete plastic surface. This is cheap plastic here. It does not feel good in any way. It doesn't matter that it's got this little bit of a curve here because it just feels cold and hard on your beautiful, sexy skin. Not my sexy, your sexy skin. It would feel that way on your sexy skin. So just, I mean, I don't know. It's not the greatest experience. Now, it costs 10 bucks from what I see to add this on, but I think you should save that $10 and buy yourself something special, or get yourself a footrest that you'd actually like and doesn't feel like cold, hard, dead things on your legs. While these plastic pads don't feel great, what's cool is that there are words written here. It actually says like and subscribe, and if you cross your eyes, it says leave a comment and share this video to help this channel. Moving now over to the right side of the bottom of the chair, this thing has a single arm, and this is gonna control both your height adjustment. So it goes like this, and this chair does not get very high at all. So for my super tall or my mommy and daddy long legs out there, it's probably not gonna be best for you because you can see that there's not much difference between the max height and the minimum height here. That's literally all the range you get. Now this thing also controls your tilt lock. And what's cool about this chair is that, again, at a chair at this price point, you do get a tilt lock here. So the way it works is that if you pull it out, this is going to unlock the chair so that you can go into any reclined position you want. And it reclines pretty far. For a chair at this price point, I think it's probably one of the deepest reclining chairs at this price point. So this is as far as it goes. And then what you can do is you can lock this chair by pushing that tab in, and it's gonna lock you in that position. And I believe you get 3 different positions. So upright, middle, or halfway back, and then fully reclined. There are so many chairs that offer a tilt lock, but don't have a good or decent headrest, which makes the tilt lock completely useless. So I'm glad they included a headrest. This thing is pretty solid, but we'll talk about that later. One last adjuster found under the chair. It's gonna be directly under where your crotch would be when sitting in the chair, is gonna be this black knob down here. That thing is gonna control your tilt tension. So in other words, how easy or how difficult it is to tilt back in your chair. Now you can see that because I've got this footrest here, this gray plastic thing is in the way of your arm from actually accessing that thing down here, unless you have freakishly long or super flexible arms, of which I have neither. And so you're gonna have to turn it like this, get physically out of your chair in order to turn this thing. Now, whenever you see a tilt tension adjuster, this big black knob under the chair, this is pretty common in chairs like very budget chairs, $100, $200 chairs. It's an indicator that it's a cheaper mechanism. More expensive chairs will have a tilt tension adjustment on the side in the form of a knob or like a handle or something, and that's gonna be able to control how much tension you get. So the fact that it's under the chair is par for the course for a chair at this price point. But again, there are chairs in that $200 to $300 price point that do have it on the side, so it's something to keep in mind. Moving up now to the seat, I think this is where one of the big quirks / biggest cons of this chair comes in. So first, let me talk about this mesh. This mesh does feel firmer. It doesn't feel super firm to the touch, but when you sit in it, it does feel firm. Now, in terms of its texture, it is a budget mesh chair. This thing is a bit scratchy. It's got some cool little design looking things, patterns here, which looks okay. But yeah, overall, it does feel like a cheap mesh. Now, when it comes to the design of the seat pan, the sides here are gonna be raised on both sides and raised quite significantly. That means a couple of things. One is that for my friends who are spreaders out there, it's not a great spreading chair because you can only go about this far before those hard plastic things start to dig into your thighs. It also means that for my single or double leg tuckers out there, not a great experience. Again, the seat pan isn't that wide, and because of the aggressive curves on the left and right side, when you single tuck, you can kind of already see it. This side is digging into my ankle over here, and for double leg tuckers, it's gonna be double that, right? So now when it comes to the seat tension, this is where I think the biggest con comes in. There's something odd about this seat tension. See, I'm someone who likes to scooch all the way back in their chair, and when I scooch all the way back, the seat's mesh feels like something is poking into my sit bone. There's no plastic there. It's just the nature of the way the mesh kind of like contorts. It just feels like something is gonna jabbing up at my sit bone there. Not like that, guys. But yeah, it feels like something's poking. And then if I scooch forward, well then the lumbar support is so aggressive that it feels like it's kind of pushing me out of the chair a little bit. Not that my pants are slipping, because my pants are totally gripped. The mesh is very grippy. It's more like my pants are being held down so tight, but my body is moving forward, so I'm basically just giving myself a wedgie here, right? That's kind of what that sensation feels like. But there's this sweet spot where it's like just between farthest back and a little forward that feels okay. And I feel like trying to land there every single time can be a little bit of a frustrating practice here, especially when you're just trying to sit and go. I'll talk more about the aggressive lumbar in just a minute, but let's talk about these armrests. These are some of the most adjustable armrests for a chair at this price point, but again, it does have its flaws. So this thing can go up and down like this. They can move forward and back a really big range, and these things can swivel 360 degrees. Again, these are adjustments you don't really see on a chair at this price point, which is a big plus. In terms of their minimum height, this desk here is set at 25 inches, and you can see that I can fit under there beautifully. No contact whatsoever, so that's as low as the arms get. But this chair does use a synchro tilt, which means that when you tilt back, the seat isn't gonna come up with you. It's not tilting with your knees or with your hips. Instead, it's just kind of moving back ever so slightly, but you can see these arms do raise up just a tiny bit. And that means that these things, while they clear while you're sitting, if you tilt, it is going to bang into that lower part of your desk. So something to keep in mind. When it comes to these arm pads, these things actually feel pretty darn good. They actually have a decent amount of give, and it squishes and compresses really nicely when you dig in them with your elbows. Feels really nice. It's also got this kind of slight concave curve like this, which kind of holds that forearm nicely there. And I thought, you see how in the front here, this thing actually raises up? I think these are supposed to belong in the front, not in the back. I had them in the back like this because this felt like, I don't know why, this felt more normal. But when you do this, that raised part actually kind of digs into your forearm in any position you have it. And I was about to say it was a con until I turned it over and I was like, wait a minute, if it's at the front, I actually kind of like it here because this allows you to kind of grip that forearm to move it back and it forward and back easily, to swivel it really easily, to even like get in. It's kind of nice that it's raised up here. You feel like you get something to grip here. So yeah, this bump here, I was gonna say it's a con, but it's actually a plus because yeah, it does feel nice to have it in the front part. You just gotta make sure you don't ever spin it 360 because then if it digs into your forearm, it doesn't feel great. Moving up now to the lumbar support. This is using that kind of like dynamic lumbar support that everybody talks about. You can see how much it kind of wobbles and shakes, and it kind of has this like pivot kind of thing. And because it's mesh, it's gonna naturally compress based on how much pressure you put in it. And the idea here is that because it's flexible and moves, it's supposed to move and give you as much lumbar support as you put on it. But you can tell that based on the position, you can see how far this thing is out and you can't push it in more. That means that this is going to naturally have a very aggressive lumbar curve. And it sits on the lower side. It fits me really well. When I sit in this, I actually really like it. I feel like it puts me in a very healthy sitting position. It supports me in a way that I feel like now I can actually sit properly in the chair. It's not encouraging hunching. As a matter of fact, if I try to hunch in this chair, it feels uncomfortable. So I do like that it kind of puts me and forces me into a healthy sitting position. You can only adjust the height on this lumbar support, and to bring it down, you go all the way to the top and it should fall right back down. The cons of this lumbar support are, one, I already explained it about how it kind of pushes you out of the chair if you're sitting forward. But the second is that when you actually tilt back in this chair, it no longer fits the natural back position and curves when I tilt back. This is a con that I have, a complaint that I have with all Hbada chairs. Because they dictate where this break happens between the lower back and the mid to upper back section, it happens in every single one. In the upright position, it feels fine. As soon as you tilt back, it feels like it's digging into this weird part of your lower back. It doesn't matter where you adjust the lumbar support, it just never feels like it fits the natural curve when you tilt back. The other big complaint I have about Hbada chairs is that while the lumbar support gets some love in terms of that dynamic motion kind of moves with you, the upper back support in all these chairs do not. This thing is completely static, doesn't move whatsoever, has no flex. It's weird because you're like, oh, like I can wiggle around my booty hip area, but your back gets no love. And so your back is just kind of like stuck here in this hard frame. So I would love it if the entire frame kind of flexed a little bit with you. But yeah, these hard plastic and the rigid like supports refuse and don't let that happen. Now, the mesh here is actually slightly different from the seat here. It actually feels softer to the touch, which is nice because, I don't know, if you're wearing some kind of tank top or something, I guess, you know, it doesn't scratch as much. It's nice also because these edges here, they're not gonna be nearly as scratchy if you have exposed, you know, triceps because you got sexy arms. So it's nice for that reason, right? Now, when it comes to this headrest, I think this headrest is actually really well thought out, especially for a chair at this price point. So let me talk about its adjustments really quickly. So this thing goes up and down and it does it with just a clicking mechanism. So you just kind of raise it up and down like this. Moves actually pretty nicely, pretty smoothly. It's pretty good. And then this thing can swivel like this, a couple clicks forward and back. And then what's really nice is that this thing has two buttons on the side and you have to click both. And by doing that, you can actually swivel the whole headrest like this. And this is a really nice design because usually you find that whenever you use a tension-based system, they get loose, or click-based system, like this is gonna loosen over time. So the fact that you actually have this click thing to kind of bring it in and out of place feels like it's just gonna last a longer time. Now, there are some cons with this thing. The first one being that the hard edges on the top and bottom are very, very, very exposed. And that means that if you don't get it into the right position, this hard plastic, you could feel this on like the top of your shoulders and spine. And if you bring it down like this and you don't have it, again, turned correctly, it can start to like dig into that part. And especially when you tilt back and stuff, and you've just got to kind of tilt it a weird way, this bottom part starts to dig into that like neck spine area. So yeah, I don't love that the super hard plastics are super exposed. But what is nice is that this headrest can get really, really low. I mean, this is freakishly low. Like I'm 5'6", and you can see that this is hitting my upper back. So for my short friends, celebrate, because this is actually a mesh chair that could work with you, a headrest that could actually work with you. The shape of the headrest as well works really nicely. It fits nicely in that kind of curvature of your neck area. So you can see that it kind of like fits into that curvature nicely. Unfortunately, apart from this kind of like pivot motion, you can kind of pivot it far away enough that it doesn't get in your way while sitting upright. So that's kind of nice, but it is kind of annoying to adjust while sitting inside your chair. My recommendation for maximum height in this chair is gonna be around 6'2", and even then, it's probably pushing it. There's nothing about this chair that really indicates it was built for tall people. Generally speaking, Hbada seems to make chairs for smaller folks. You know, the chair doesn't go all that high, the seat pan doesn't adjust out for longer legs. The only thing that really is good for tall people is the fact that the headrest gets so tall, and that's pretty much it. It does feel like this chair was designed for shorter people, and so I think the minimum height recommendation here is probably gonna be around like 5'1", because again, this headrest does get really, really low. And overall, the chair feels like, again, a solid option for my shorter friends. Hbada recommends a maximum weight limit of 264 pounds, but whenever it comes to a budget mesh chair, I always say I don't recommend over like 170 pounds. If you're over that, I do recommend a fabric chair over mesh because I do think the mesh on a budget chair will start to sag faster, especially if you're heavier. But Hbada does offer a 3-year warranty on this chair. Final thoughts. I think Hbada is offering a really nice price to performance mesh chair. Again, for that 200-ish price point, you really don't see mesh chairs that have all the features that Hbada P2 has. Now, overall, I do think that the Staples Dexly does feel better, and it's cheaper and has a 5-year warranty from Staples, and Staples has a better reputation than I think Hbada does when it comes to customer service and warranty. So overall, I do think the Dexly is a better chair, but if you want some of these creature comfort functionality features like this 360 swiveling armrest and this thing that can move forward and back, as well as a potential built-in footrest, the Hbada P2 could be a solid option. Until next time, stay honest.